Welcome back to our podcast, The Real Deal with Sass, hosted by Esuk.
And Siri.
On this podcast, we will talk about hot topics, current events, our experiences, where people can relate to, hopefully.
Hopefully relatable experiences, yeah.
Yay,
Yay.
crossing fingers. We will share our views and experiences.
And hopefully give some advice.
Yes. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Asian hate. But first,
Yeah.
I would like to explain to our listeners about our podcast name,
Yeah.
The Real Deal with Sass.
It's sassy.
It's sassy.
Yeah.
Okay, so CD, do you want to explain the name?
The name is actually because we are giving you the real deal about our lives. And sassy is a play on words. Sass is a play on words from sassy.
Yes,
But it's also Siri Esuk.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yay.
So-
And we are sassy. I mean, we can be sassy.
We can be
Yes,
sassy.
yes. That is why it,
So why it's called sass.
yeah, and not
Yeah.
sassy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you know.
Now you know.
But as you said, we're going to talk about a very important issue today.
Yes.
And yeah.
Asian hate? Yes. So, I wanted to address this topic because there was this incident in March that happened where Justin Bieber gets his speeches
Down in Georgia.
in Georgia.
Georgia. I like that song.
Yes, I do too. To be precise, in Atlanta, Georgia. And I mean, this topic isn't new. It didn't start in 2020 because of COVID. But I feel that people are more aware of what's going on because of social media.
Yep.
Because now we have celebs, random people posting on these platforms,
Yeah.
which we didn't have before, right?
No, not as much.
Exactly. Especially when we were growing up because, as you said in our previous episode, we're getting old.
We're getting old.
But a little context here. I was born in Korea. Adopted at 4 months old.
Oh,
little
cute
baby. And I have this loving, beautiful family, loving parents, loving brother. But I do have a very white family. I mean, I do have Puerto Rican second cousins, but I mean, I do have a white family.
Your immediate family.
Yes, yes. But yeah, growing up, I have always felt loved and supported. But there were times I was like, oh yeah, I'm not white. I'm actually Asian. I don't look like my friends and family. And I think my first episode of discovering I wasn't white was when I was a kid. I was pretty young. My parents told me this story. We had dinner at this Korean family in Atlanta. And we walked in, right? So I looked at the parents, and then I looked at the kids, and I looked at the parents, and I looked at the kids, and I looked at my parents, and I tried to look at myself. I looked at my brother, and I looked, and I was like, something's off here. Like, why do they look like each other? But I look like them. But my parents and my brother, they don't look like me. So I'm like,
A little bit confused.
I'm very confused. I don't remember this story or what happened. But my parents were like, yeah, you look confused. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So we moved here to Norway when I was like, 7, 8 years old or something. So, yeah, you can probably hear that. I don't speak like American, Miss Not Southern Belle accent. I grew up mostly here, but I still have Atlanta in my heart. I still say that Atlanta is my hometown. I'm very proud of it, right? I don't really communicate my feelings that well, as we kind of mentioned a little in the previous episode.
Yep.
So you can imagine I definitely haven't expressed my feelings and thoughts about being Asian or getting comments or, my stories or experiences. It's kind of my defense mechanism. I become this hermit and no,
Oh.
I'll deal with it on my own, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when this incident in March happened, I was kind of like, nope. I am going to share this. I am going to educate more. I am going to speak up. I am done with being silent.
And it's important to raise your voice.
Yes, it is. It is. I just you remember in our last episode, I was like, oh, 2019. I had this big year of soul searching and everything. And I think that because of learning a lot about myself,
yeah,
I was like, okay, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to have a voice and share and educate more if that's possible, right? So yeah, I kind of want to talk about it today.
Yeah.
So what happened in Atlanta, for those that don't know, there was a mass shooting in Atlanta, Georgia in March. A 21-year-old male shot a total of 8 people, where 6 of them were Asian American. Right after I saw the incident on the news, I got a lot of messages from friends. And some were like, what's this? What happened? Of course they asked me, but I wanted to share not only what happened, but also the topic in general, right? If I could be some kind of educator on this, then that's great, right?
Yeah, and the best way to do that is communication.
Exactly. And I don't expect everybody to know or understand or fully know what's happening out there in the world and whatever, but yeah, I just feel that we have to talk about this.
We have to talk about
this.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're doing this.
Yes, me too. But the thing is that this it's not new, right? It's not new. Asian hate is not new. It's been a long struggle. And it didn't start in 2020. But I mean, people are getting abused, getting a lot of bad comments, even just on the streets, walking on the street, they're getting comments, beaten up on the streets, in stores, in mid daylight. People spit at them, it's just super sad.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. And I mean, people are calling Asian Americans for Kung flu and China flu, and it's just not okay.
It's not okay at all. But have you ever experienced Asian hate in Norway?
Yes, I have. So okay, so you have growing up, you have certain things that you kind of you can't erase from your brain, sort of, from your memory. It's just stuck in there. One of them, when I was younger, kids like to do that eye movement thing and say something, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that you're a kid, but okay, I mean, and that's my best excuse.
And
but
they don't know what they're doing.
They don't know, but at the same time, it's okay, fine. You're a kid. I mean, people still do it now, right? Yeah. And grown-ups do it too. So, but that was I feel my first encounter of I knew something was off. I just didn't understand fully what it was. I couldn't and if I had somebody to tell or talk to, I don't think I could fully express my feelings and thoughts around it either, because you just know they're making fun of you. You know something's off, but you just at the same time you don't understand it, right? Yeah. So it's hard. And if you're also someone to you keep your feelings to yourself, then it's even harder to hey, somebody's making fun of me.
But did you ever tell your parents?
I did not. I did not. I mean, again, I have a loving family and great parents and brother. But they're still white. And for me, like, I mean, it's hard for me to open up in general, right? But, and we got into this in our previous episode.
We did. We talked about our
because yes, I can be all social and I love like social events, social settings, extrovert, blah, blah, but feelings, right? So it is kind of like my defense mechanism. Like, no, I'll just keep it to myself. I think it's more like I'll deal with it on my own, right? I'll deal with it. And I won't kind of like bother anybody. But I think it's because I'm so used to it. Right? Yep. I'm so used to like just, I'm fine. And then a day or two later, I'm like, okay, it's forgotten, but it's really not.
No, of course it's not.
Right?
No.
So, I kind of feel like exposed sort of like, but now I'm like, nope, we are going to talk about this. I'm going to share everything on this podcast. So yeah.
But that's good.
It is good. It is good. Yeah.
And like for me, I will never know how it feels to be judged based on the color of my skin or my ethnicity. And just, hearing you talk about it now, I feel like it has to be like to have to deal with that on top of everything else you have to deal with in life.
Yeah.
It has to be really, really tough.
Yeah, it is. And you get used to it, but that's the sad part.
Yeah, and
right?
You're not supposed to get used to stuff like that.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
You shouldn't have to get used to it.
Yeah, you're not. And the first time, maybe the eye movement thing is like nothing compared to other things. But it's, for me, it was like I just knew something was off, right?
Yeah.
Another experience is, well, I've gotten this throughout the years. And I know a lot of my Asian friends get it too, or like Korean friends. Okay, here's the thing. So random people at parties or late at night after you go to a club or bar or something, and then you stand in line to get that at nighttime snack or something, and then people be like, "Hey, you look like Lucy Liu." And I'm like, first I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever, right? But I do not look like Lucy Liu. So for me, that was like, and I got this, I mean, I get it a lot. And I get Lucy Liu the most for some reason. Well, here's the thing. So I kind of like concluded that, because I was like, okay, do you have many Asian friends? And they're like, no. So they kind of associate any Asian people they meet in person with some kind of Asian celebrity.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And after a while, I was like, when people said that, I was like, I pulled out my phone and I, looked up whoever they said I looked like.
And show the photo.
And I showed them, and I was like holding it beside my face, and I was like, but do it though. And they're like, I mean, it's a compliment. And I'm like, hey, if I look like Lucy Liu, sure, hello, of course, she is beautiful, right? Talented and everything. But I don't. And that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's been years with that. And it's like, now I'm like, no, but I don't. And when you kind of like, show them the picture and they're like, yeah, okay, never, yeah, and they don't know what to say. And I'm like, So, and again, that might be a compliment, or people might think, oh, you're too sensitive or something. And it's like, but just, it's not that. It's not about that, sort of,
No.
So, Yeah, I mean, we Chinese people, Japanese people, Korean people, we look different.
Yeah.
We are different, but yeah, it's kind of like for me to like, hey, you like look like any white person on the
No,
street,
I don't.
right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of like that. It's that vibe. It's that feeling I get,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But again, after a while, you get used to it. You get used to it. It's what it is. But yeah. So when I was younger, I really, really wanted to get double eyelid surgery.
Oh, you did?
Yes. In Korea, eye surgery, shaving like your jawline. That reaction.
Sounds painful.
Yes, and more of a, like a westernized nose is very, very, very common to get over there. It's like for us to, to go to the gym, sort of. Yeah, it's like it's super common. It's cheap. It's well done over there.
Ah, yeah.
So if you want to get like any kind of surgery, you go to Korea.
Okay.
They know what they're doing. But yeah, so it's considered as like the westernized look is considered as like the standard beauty
Okay.
over there, right? It's been for a while. And I just never told my mom or my dad in detail how desperate I was to get like I wanted a small face, a smaller face. I wanted a nicer nose. I wanted like the double eyelids. Yeah. I was desperate. But yeah, I just wanted to look like more like my friends.
Yeah.
And family and everything. Yeah. It's weird, but that's my
And you never spoken to them about it? You never?
not really. So my mom, she kind of like asked me throughout the years, and I was like, no, not really, I'm fine. But inside I was like, yes, I want it so bad. But now and after years just accepting who I am, I embrace my Asian features, right? I embrace my look. Like I'm proud, right?
Yay.
And it took years, but now I'm like, yeah, and also I'm just too old. I'm too old to go
You're
get surgery.
mature.
Yeah, I'm also too old to get surgery.
You are? No.
I feel, yeah.
I'm sure you're not too old to get surgery if you wanted. But
No, but that kind of surgery, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
You don't feel the
it is
need
what it
anymore.
is. No, I don't. I'm proud. So,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah. You should be.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. But have you personally experienced more hate during COVID, like in 2020 and 2021?
Funny thing. So because of, lockdown, social distancing, home office and everything, I was like, you know what? Actually, I feel lucky that I haven't been exposed to anything during COVID because I've been at home by myself alone. But actually, this isn't true. Yeah. So my last encounter was in 2020 during my birthday party, right before lockdown. But it was still like, people knew about it.
We've heard about it.
Yeah. And then it was like, okay, what is this? And, stems from China, blah, 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 right? So my birthday, we, after we had like dinner and everything, we went out.
Yeah.
And then we were only girls.
Girls' night out.
Girls' night out. So we're at this, I would say, not a club, but bar club thing, something. Yeah. And around like what, 2:30 a.m., the lights flicker and be like, okay,
Time to go home.
either last call for like a drink to get a drink, or go find somebody for the night.
Yes.
It's like, okay, that's your sign. Go, go, go. And then we were tired and we were sitting at this table and we're like discussing, okay, where should we go eat? Because we were on our way home, or we were going to go home. And then we see this bunch of, like a group of guys, approaching us. And we're like, yep, okay.
Time to go.
Yeah. Or like, the typical, okay, yeah, they're approaching us because, right? And then they kind of like scattered around. So they had probably like, just watching us. And they were like, okay, you take her, and I want her, and blah, 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 right? Yeah. The typical.
Yeah.
Very typical. And then, so we had like one guy each sitting beside us. And then my guy, he sits down and he covers his mouth and goes like, oh, yeah, you don't have COVID, do you?
Oh, God.
And it was just to me, right?
Yeah.
And we were like sitting like this, so it wasn't like he did it to the others, or he just looked at me and then covered his mouth and he's like, oh, you don't have COVID, right? And I'm like, I was like lost for words. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what did you just say? And I was like, all right, girls, up, let's go now. And they're like, okay. Because if I have to do that, if I'm like that, then they're like, okay, if something happened, like, let's go. Yeah. And then they were like, the guys were like, what happened? And I'm like, yeah, don't even
go there.
No, don't even go there. Like, yeah, no. So yeah, cause first I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, I actually feel lucky that I haven't like experienced anything during 2020.
Yeah.
But I did. And also I just want to say, right after lockdown, all the TP, toilet paper.
Oh, the toilet paper incidents.
Toilet paper. It was like cleared out, right? Sold out everywhere. Wow. Not only here, but like globally, right?
I don't understand the whole like
hoarding thing for like TP and paper? I don't know, and pasta and all that other shit. Okay, so and then when the stores received more, you can only buy these big packs, like 24 packs of TP, right? So I decided to walk to the store because I was like, okay, just getting used to, staying at home and home office and everything. So I'm going to walk to the store and just like, by the way, FYI, distances here in Norway is not that big compared to the States, right? We can actually walk to like anything, everything, right? So I'm like, okay, be a little active and like, okay, fresh air and everything. So I walked to the store. There's only like 24 packs of
that's the only thing you bought?
The only thing, well, some other stuff, I guess, groceries and stuff. So I'm walking back with this huge pack of TP in my hand, right? I'm like, yay, satisfied and everything. And then it just like hit me like, oh shit. Okay. Like,
shit, yeah.
like I'm walking around with this huge pack of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And then it just hit me like, okay, you know what? People are going to look at me and be like, of course she has a huge pack of TP.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because you normally, like, you would probably think, oh, she has like,
diarrhea,
like
something.
bowel issues or something. But for me, I was like, oh shit, people are going to think because I'm Asian, and everybody's like, oh, China flu, blah, blah, blah. And then I got that experience recently at my birthday party.
Yeah, because this was just after.
This was just after, right? So I was like, oh shit, they're gonna like, think that, of course, she has bought a huge. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but that's kind of like, a typical thought, feeling that I get, and it's like, you shouldn't really think that, but yeah.
You shouldn't have to think that.
You shouldn't have to think that. Yeah. So, but I am super glad that people are talking more about it, about this topic openly and everything. But okay, so you remember like last week? I called you or whatever.
Yeah, you messaged me.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, CD, oh my God, there's this horrific commercial on TV. And you're like, I don't have TV. I'm like, okay, but okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I tried to explain it to you. Like, okay, so there is this commercial for a chocolate brand that thought it would be funny to make it about a Japanese game show.
Yeah.
So here's a little context. Japanese game shows, they have been around for years. Korean game shows also been around for years. It's their culture, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Korean, Japanese, Chinese, like TV series, movies, they are different. They are slightly different, and if you're not used to it, it's like so I got my parents actually to like some kind of Korean TV shows, TV series. Some they're like, yeah, that was really good, and some they're like, I don't get the humor, right? It's like, I'm like, it's okay, because you have to get used to it, and it's their culture, right?
Yeah.
And game shows, it's funny, but it's not like that funny. But I have heard for years that people kind of make fun of Japanese game shows, especially because they're just so silly, stupid, weird, and it's like, but it's their culture. It's like,
it's what they
come
do.
on, people. That's how they do things over there. And it's not, yes, it's haha funny, but at the same time, it's that's how they roll, sort of, and it's not weird for them. But for the Western world, it's like, what the hell are they doing? And I'm like, okay, but at the same time, it's like, whatever. Because again, you get so used to different comments, and you just get used to it. And you're like, you just kind of like brush it off. And you're like, okay, whatever. Haha, it's funny. But I was offended. I was so offended by it. And I told you, right?
Yeah. And
I was like, what am I watching, CD? Like, you're like, I don't know. I can't.
And I tried to Google and I tried to find it. And I was just like, But yeah.
And then I think it was like a day or two later, it was in one of the Norwegian newspapers that they had to take it down.
They had to cancel it, yeah.
They had to cancel the commercial on TV. And I get it, right? I totally get it, because I told you, and this was before it came in, it was in the media that they canceled it. They took it down. I was like, what the? So that was my reaction. And there are a lot of other reactions in this country that were the same. They were similar, right? Because it's taken down.
Yeah.
Fair enough, right? And super good, because I was just so offended.
You were upset.
I was upset.
You were, really upset. And
this was before
they
took it down. So I'm like, here's the CD. Yeah. But yeah, so they are different, and it's all TV series, movies, game shows. It's just their culture, and I just like
even music is different.
Even music is different.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We all can't be the same, right?
No.
And I like it. I like that we're different like that. Yeah.
No, we have to experience different cultures, and Exactly.
Yes. So one of the like, I don't know what
So,
he is, but he's like this creative director or something from some agency. So he commented on like in the article, like, but because he's very into diversity and blah blah blah, and that's great, yay for diversity, you know. But at the same time, he was like, no, but this is good for the Norwegian public in general, blah blah blah. This is good for the country, and I'm like, no, like this is you don't understand. Then you have to go and do your research on Japanese game shows or something, right? So I was like, oh. And then the creative director of the commercial agency or whatever, he was like, yeah, what, 2 sentences or something? He was like, yeah, I mean, I accept it, but I'm very like, you know, I don't really like it. And I'm like, okay, somebody needs a real bitch slap. He was like, I'm kind of like disappointed, but I accept it. And I'm like,
You accept it.
yeah. So I just been thinking lately, like how we can together, kind of not only support but raise more awareness and share this topic. You know?
Yeah, because that's important. So what I do is that I do follow different news channels on Instagram, and you get little short stories, and then I try to read up on the news and try to understand what's going on. And when this thing in Atlanta happened, I reached out to you, and we started talking about it.
Yes.
And it's kind of, I think for me that was very educational, and that was very good, and I think that's where you have to go. You have to sort of communicate about it, and you have to ask someone. You have to like, look on your social media. That's where you can get.
Yeah, that's good. Also, I have noticed lately that online, if there are any incidents like this in Atlanta, they're really good with like bullet points, like facts, like very short and sweet. And that's kind of like all you need to know if you don't really want to get into it, like that deep sort of. And that is great, right? Or just talk about it with your friends, and especially like family.
But have you addressed this incident in Atlanta with your parents? Have you talked about that?
We have slightly talked about it. Yeah. And my mom was like, you have to talk about this. Like, because she knows that, you know, we're going to start a podcast and everything. And I was like, yes, I know. I'm going to. Thank you. Yeah. So she is super supportive, like my entire family. It's not that. It's just that, you know, okay, I'm finally going to speak up.
Yeah.
And I've never done that before, right? And I've also never had like that person or other Asian friends to like, I haven't really talked to them about either being adopted or like, you know, my experiences and everything, right? So it's just, you just get used to it, right?
Yeah.
So and I think you just have to just keep on with the social media platforms, right?
Yeah,
like
that's where you can really raise awareness about something.
Yes.
But were you nervous to talk about this today?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think because there's so much been built up, I'm like, okay, let's go, you know? So it's just, I'm not holding back or keeping quiet anymore, you know? And maybe I would have been nervous before, probably because I'm at that age and I've been through so much with myself. I think I'm just so comfortable now talking about it, even though this is kind of like my first time talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think it's, you know, share, talk about it, and just reach out to your friends. Like, I really appreciate it when my friends like reached out to me after the incident in March. I was like, thank you, you know, even though it might have been like, what is this? what's happening. And I'm like, okay. And I don't care if I'm more of like the educator in it. I'm like, hey, at least I get to share.
Yeah.
At least I get to talk about this topic, right? And then I can go like more deep into it. It also depends on
Who you talk to,
who I'm talking to and stuff. But so it's like just talk about it, share it, social media and everything, because we didn't have this or like social media. Like I remember when I got my beeper. Oh,
you had a beeper.
I had a beeper. And you like ran to the first phone, like available phone, and you'd be like, who like messaged me or who called me or said he's trying to reach me. Yeah. I was like, I'm that old. Yeah.
I didn't have a beeper. No.
I
always looked at people. Oh, you have a beeper? That's so cool.
Then the mini disc.
I know. Oh, I had the mini disc.
Or the Discman. The Discman came first.
I had the Discman, and then I had the mini disc.
And then the iPod? No, the little like Apple thing that kind of you just
the iPod.
Yes.
And then you could get the iPod in like different sizes, and then you had the tiny little one.
The mini iPod.
Yeah.
Oh, and I had it in hot pink. I remember so well. I probably have it somewhere.
Yeah.
Still. Oh my God, those were the days. But so we did not grow up with the internet, and I mean, for school, encyclopedias, like books,
So and that's probably why we are being more exposed to it today.
Yes,
because you see it, it's there, it's you open up your phone and you see all of this.
Yes,
which is good because you raise awareness about something.
That's the thing. I mean, it has its advantages and disadvantages, but in
this case, it's really, really good.
Yes, but the advantage is that there was this article today, right?
Yep.
And I really enjoyed reading it. So right after the incident in Atlanta, there were Asian Norwegians that kind of spoke up.
Yeah, they posted about.
They posted, but not only that, there were like articles. There was a really big article in one of Norway's biggest newspapers, right? And they are pretty young.
Yeah.
And I just love that because they're like, hey, it happens here too, right? Because it actually happens. And they are young. And I was like, oh, because I've experienced it for so many years. And I'm like, I know it still exists, but it's like, just reading the stories and I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter if you're adopted. It doesn't matter if you are not, it's just that if you experience it or have any kind of feelings or like a bad experience or thoughts and everything, it's just so great for people to speak up. And so this article today, it was like he's like this journalist / TV host or something. He was like supporting these young Asian Norwegians that they spoke up, and they were so young, and then they kind of like flipped it around and like replied by, but we appreciate your support, and you're like much older than us, and then we're like, we're happy, and it's so great to see that support, especially after that stupid commercial, you know. And he was very like, okay, let's not focus on this isn't because of what happened in Atlanta, blah blah blah, but this is happening here in this country. We also have to talk about it, right?
Yeah, and it's not all about, like, it's not just about COVID. It's happened.
That's the thing. It's not new. It's not new.
It happens all the time.
It happens all the time, but it's been a long struggle, right? Globally for years. And also just remember, if you're unsure or if you really want to talk about it, if you can't talk to your family about it, talk to somebody, just somebody, your best friend or a teacher or a counselor or somebody.
there's a lot of people that would love to talk to you.
Exactly.
No matter what.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So I guess that's our best advice.
Yeah.
But we just have to switch it up to like something more positive, right?
Yeah.
So I see it as on a more positive note that we can talk about it, we can share. I hope people that are listening are like, oh, okay, great. I kind of learned something today, or okay.
And feel brave enough to actually speak up and tell their stories if there's
exactly.
And the more we know and the more people actually post about this and talk about it, it's going to be more awareness, and people are going to be like, okay, this is actually happening. We have to do something about it.
Exactly.
And
yeah. For those that kind of don't fully understand or know about a lot about this topic, and also for those that are Asian, right?
Yeah.
Norwegian Asians or whatever, like I want them to feel that they have somebody.
Yeah.
If they don't, they need to find somebody, or just reach out to us. Like, hello, like we will help you. We support you. Yeah. So yeah. So to wrap it up for today's episode on
I
Asian
learned
hate.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I learned a lot, and yeah, I think it's good that we are talking about it, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you
for talking about it.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm proud of myself. Yay! Thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to share this. Yeah. It's been a long journey, but for me, it's more important to not only be an educator for people that don't really know, but also like to be supportive. I'm not gonna hold back anymore. I'm not going to keep quiet. And these platforms are, superb to
they are
to really share. So aren't Asian and want to kind of learn more, then I feel that, I mean, this was a good episode for me to speak up, because maybe somebody or some listener or whatever has learned something, you know? And I mean, you don't need to know everything and the entire history and everything, but I feel really good to share this.
Maybe they've learned a little bit about how they can support it and how they can sort of reach out and
yes, I mean, that's the most important thing about this, right? That's kind of what we want to achieve. Yeah, right? Yeah. So, but on a more like positive note, I just enjoyed today, and I enjoyed sharing finally. And okay, so just remember, be respectful. Watch what you say, because 2 small words, they can hurt tremendously. Like hurts. You might think you're funny or something, or giving a compliment or whatever. But just be respectful. Just watch what you say before you say it. Think before you speak. Yes, please.
And be nice to each other.
Yeah, just be respectful. That I mean, like for me, that would be my best advice.
Yeah.
But but to wrap it up. Be respectful. If you're uncertain on anything, just reach out, talk to somebody, ask somebody, reach out to your Asian friends or whatever, and remember, we support you. We support you. And stay safe and healthy.
And remember, we're still in a pandemic, so social distancing,
especially here
in Norway.
So
and the world is starting to open up now. So little by little.
Yeah. But good times. But so we will see you in our next episode. So bye.